you have to wear the same kind of camo. If you got Realtree bottoms and a mossy oak top, you are never going to kill a turkey. This podcast is brought to you by Creekside Wildlife, specializing in food plotting and habitat management for deer and turkey hunting. If you're ready to get started on improving your property to hold more game, then it's time to contact Creekside Wildlife. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Creekside Wildlife. All right, we're back. Episode 5. We're going to be 10 soon.
It's gonna get quick.
Yeah.
And we got all kinds of topics.
Oh, yeah.
Every time we see each other, we're like, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. Yeah.
But we're going to stick to turkeys.
That's right. It's coming up quick.
I'm not ready to give up on it. I've been waiting too long for it. So we were having a little discussion here about turkey vests and stuff before we hit record. So we figured, well, let's just roll with it. We're almost in the end of the month here of March 23rd. A lot of turkey season's already opening. We're talking to guys that have killed some turkeys already, so that makes it even worse. So, I mean, I get to go a little bit earlier than you this year, but
it just makes it harder to go to work and not just say, okay, I'm on a plane to wherever they are.
Yeah.
Right?
You have a pretty scenic drive to work, too, so I can see you seeing them turkeys every morning on the way. So
it's not fun. Yeah. Like, it just makes it that much harder to keep on driving to work. It's like you just want to pull off the road and stare at them for a while.
Yep,
you know?
I got a text with a couple strutters from the guys out there in the loop today. So they're seeing a bunch, and we're going to try to get someone filmed there with them this year. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit about preseason turkey. And
right.
We're kind of getting into the scouting end of things here, and just talk about what we do and how we do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking. A friend of mine. We went quote unquote gun shopping the other day, and it's just literally, we go snoop around and look, see what's ever. But I
hope your wife doesn't listen to this.
Not really. It's fine. Even it's not a big deal. But regardless, we're driving, and it said, hey, we should look up there. And he goes, I think we know the people that own that farm. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So the following week, I'm at work, and I'm like, hey, is your family in this? They're like, that's actually my cousin. I actually.
Something's beeping.
It was in my headset.
Yeah. All right, start over with that.
Okay.
A little bit of that story.
Yeah, so we're driving out to this one gun store, and we passed this place, and he said, I think that's where so and so lives at, or his family, and so I figured I'll ask him at work. It's one guy we work with, and sure enough, it's his cousin. And he's like, hey,
perfect.
That's go talk to them. They're good people. Here's the lay. They own this piece of property, and it goes up to state game land, so you can hunt private on the way to state. It's a big hollow that has pines on each side. Birds for sure roost, on the side of that mountain, and go up to game lands. And I was like, that's pretty sweet. But he said, hey, you want to shoot a turkey? He said, come over to my farm. And I'm like, wait a second. Really?
I love those kind of people.
And I'm like, all right. And he goes, I see him every day. He said, like clockwork, I can pattern him. He said, I can tell you where to put a blind. Just sit there. He said, you'll be here at this time. And he said, you'll kill a bird. He said, I guarantee it. And I said, so what you're saying is you need birds exterminated.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm your guy.
I'm just wondering why that's the first time I've heard of this story.
It was literally today. It was today.
Okay.
So Mike saw me at work today. It was literally today at work. I was actually talking to this guy and thought, hey, I'm going to hit him up about that. And it's crazy how the cards fall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not how I saw this happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. But to save the grace as far as going gun shopping, I came back with 2 hats.
Perfect.
So literally.
And a new turkey farm.
Yes.
That's
better yet.
That's
better
even
yet.
better.
But the bank account has been saved. Perfect. And we are good. So.
All right. Yeah, I was getting some trail cameras fired back up here. I got boxes of batteries thrown in there, so I'm going to get some of them out here probably this weekend, and we got a few spots that we're going to throw some cameras in. A lot of people don't really think of trail cameras for turkeys, but I mean, if you have pinch points or roads or, field edges or anything like that, I mean, the way I see it, they sit there in my, hunting room all year, so I might as well use them. So
Now, will you put trail cameras, field edges, and like you said, openings more than so? Like, do you see turkeys with woods, without woods, primarily field, back and forth? How would you comparing it to deer hunting? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I guess deer are different. You can pattern, you can see the trail, you can this and that.
Yeah.
Birds just kind of do whatever the hell they
Yeah.
want. You know?
I mean, in a field, it's really tough. I mean, you could, and the same applies to deer. You could put a camera on a tree and, have every buck in the county walking 5 feet behind it. You're never going to get it.
Right.
So, just same as with deer, you try to pinpoint, where they're going to go and neck them down to an area with the camera. But I try to look at, trails, whether it be an old four-wheeler trail or something. I mean, they're just like a deer. They're going to take the path of least resistance and everything. But a few of the properties we hunt have the smaller food plots. We're talking like 16th or 8th of an acre, so they're obviously pretty easy to pinpoint. A turkey's bound to walk by one of the cameras if we have them in there. But other than that, I mean, like I said, we don't rely on the cameras, but it's sort of it almost ends up being something just to get out and do in
Right.
March and April. So, but I do like to have them out there, and there's been a few times where we've relied on those for finding out roost areas that we didn't really know were roost areas. Essentially, you get that turkey picture before season at right before fly up. He's not
Right.
he's flying up there pretty close to
Right.
that. So.
I was just going to ask you, how do you know the difference between seeing turkeys, just being turkeys, or versus, hey, they're going to go to roost. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
How do you know how can you see by a trail camera picture of a turkey, turkey flock, group, couple? How can you tell the difference?
As far as knowing that they're roosting close,
Right, or getting close to that.
just the time.
Oh, the timing.
Yeah,
Okay,
pretty
gotcha.
much if it's within,
So get your trail camera
20
set.
minutes, 15 minutes of dark,
Right.
he's flying up somewhere within
Okay.
Now that being said, I've watched turkeys in a field, at the bottom of a big field, and they up and just, they'll be pecking around, eating, half an hour before dark, and all of a sudden they just stop and start walking, and I've watched them over at Juniors walk up the whole way up the mountain into the woods, and now they're close to 700-800 yards away from where they just were 10 minutes ago. So that's not a foolproof plan, but if you're in the timber, a lot of times that can be the case. I mean,
So setting your date and time on your trail cameras is a good thing. Don't just turn it on and let it go.
yeah, you probably want to do that just for any reason, but yeah.
Listen, I'm lucky to get them out there, let
Yeah.
alone get them set right.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm taking pictures, and it's like, wait, that can't
It's
be
not
right.
January.
This
it's
isn't
too green.
It's like this isn't AM. It's daylight outside.
Yeah. Then you got to try to hope that it took a picture of you walking up to figure out what the time is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely been there, but yeah, I like to try to get out some cameras and let them soak for like the month of March and April, and give me a little bit of an idea what's going around. But I mean, nothing's gonna beat getting out there in the morning and listen to them gobble. I mean, I've been to places that I've had cameras and not been getting pictures. Go there in the morning and it's like you're in a dang turkey farm. I mean, so definitely like to get out and listen. If you can look or listen from the truck, and not every place permits that, but if you can listen and, scout from a distance, that always is beneficial. You can cover more ground, but I like to, buzz around in the mornings and listen to them gobble in the roost, and then make a note of that where they're roosting there. Typically stick to the, same areas. Once you get into April and, the further closer to our season, they're going to be in those roost areas, and maybe not the same tree, but within a, few hundred yards of each other. They like to, as long as they're not messed with, they kind of like to stick to that pattern. But
So once you at that time point, right before, May hits here, end of April, beginning of May, you can bank pretty much if, like you said, they're not pushed or they're not startled or scared or whatever, they're going to be around, like within what 200-yard area. I mean, something like that.
Yeah, it all depends on the terrain, and
Got it.
if you're in, big timber and it's open woods, they may kind of just wander around anywhere. But,
Sure.
A lot of stuff we're hunting's farm ground and
Yep.
as far,
Valleys
as
and
far as the private end of things. But, the main farm that we hunt there last year, they were pretty much a month straight. I could tell you there will be a turkey on this limb every single night.
no kidding.
And it was crazy. Now we kind of got ahead of ourselves and thought, well, this is easy. We're gonna set up there in the morning and first morning and have our way with them, and everything worked out great except the hens had other ideas that morning. So
They got that little brain.
yeah.
They make us look really dumb.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know, it's like the possibilities of like if you can pinpoint where those birds are going to come down, you should probably go to Vegas and play roulette.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, bet on whatever you think because you're going to get it.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's something I haven't even begin to grasp. That's
Yeah.
why I ask all these questions, and some people would look at you with your head sideways. And you're
Mhm.
like, what? Like,
Yeah.
how don't you listen? I don't know a damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to this, it's like the specifics of, like you said, you can almost pinpoint a limb them birds are going to be on, and
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
but
Now those birds particularly, I could see them from
okay.
the main road
So
with
from
my
afar,
spotting scope.
from afar, you
Yeah.
could okay.
And that's the reason I knew which limb they were on every
Gotcha.
night.
Gotcha.
Now I don't have very many places like that. That's just one of those,
It's a good one.
lucky places that
Yeah.
I can access from a spotting scope and do a lot of my scouting with that. But other places, the game lands around here, there's a lot of turkeys, a lot of good turkey hunting. You just can't be afraid to get out and hike a little bit.
Now let's go sideways just a little bit. Whenever you say spotting scope, do you use a tripod? Do you clamp a window, like a window clamp? What
Yep,
do you?
I clamp it on my window.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I learned the hard way one time. I was all kinds of sideways. I'm like, I can't see a damn thing out of this spotting scope. It's like, listen, dude, you gotta shut your truck off.
Yeah.
It's like it just makes everything look like a mirage.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I feel pretty dumb.
Yeah. So you have a Toyota just like me.
I do. Yeah.
Since you mentioned the spotting scope, if Brian's listening to this, he's gonna be laughing because this happened to me twice last year. When I shut my truck off, the lights don't shut off until I
Right.
open the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll pull into, my spot, turn the key off, put my window down, get my spotting scope up, be looking at these turkeys, watch for them to fly up. And I did this multiple times, way more than I feel like I should have in my life. Sit there, go to leave, truck's dead.
Because your lights were on.
Because
the
my
whole
lights
time.
were on and they're automatic, but they don't shut off till you open the truck door. And I pull in and I never do it. So now I got to train myself when I pull in, shut the truck off, shut the door or open the door and shut it again just to shut my lights off.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm sure I'll do it again, but
The-
that was my
yeah.
spotting scope story, but
Trials and tribulations of
Yeah.
of turkey scouting, right?
yeah, exactly.
This does occur.
Yeah, so when I have to make the call, hey, I was looking for turkeys and my battery's dead, I get the eye roll, but
Hey,
so,
that is what it is. But
yeah. So,
all right, so back to scouting.
Yep.
Back to preseason.
Yeah.
Better times, morning, evening.
For hearing birds, I prefer morning. Personally, a lot of guys will like to locate birds in the evenings. This is more in the hunting side of things, but just in my experience, I don't have as much success with hearing birds be vocal in the evenings. I have, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like mornings are the time. They're
They're excited.
they're
to get
waking
moving.
up,
Yeah.
that's their deal. But
Sure.
you can get them to gobble in the, with a locator call or whatever in the evenings sometimes. But like I said, I don't typically ever think about doing that in the evenings. I'll more so just scout around and, drive around and look for them in fields and stuff. And,
Sure.
and that's another big thing, just driving. I mean, even if you're looking in private fields, if there's public behind it, you can at least get flocks located and then dive in from there. But I would prefer the morning, and then midday, I like to get out and hike around and try to find fresh scratching, and you can typically find some roost locations if you find a bunch of big trees. droppings underneath the trees more than you would normally see just walking through the woods usually points to a roost area.
Sure.
In my experience, steep slopes seems to be the spot that I always find them roosted, and I can only assume that they just like to fly
Makes
off
it
of
easier.
a
Yeah.
elevated area into a tree because they don't have to exert much energy, I
Right.
guess. And then in
Coming
the
out of the
mornings,
tree,
they'll
right?
just jump right
Yeah.
down and kind of, they'll be closer to the bank. But if I'm looking on a map, I can usually tell from like looking at Onyx with the contour lines. If you show me a property where I would guess that the turkeys would roost, and usually, depending on what the actual property looks like when you get boots on the ground, usually that's pretty accurate with those steep slopes, and that keeps them out of the wind. If they're the prevailing wind is coming over top of that bank, they kind of like to go down a little bit farther on it, and keeps them out of the weather, I guess. So
Nice.
but again, like we mentioned, they're looking at Onyx and stuff. You can tell a lot by that. I mean, I'll sit here on the computer and just
Stare at
scan
it.
areas
Yep,
and
yep.
look and mark pins and everything, and may not even be a spot that I ever check out. But if you're out walking around and you find some scratching, just pin it and then figure it out, because they're like a deer. They're pretty habitual as far as that goes. So
And they, like you said, path of least resistance. They're as
Yeah.
lazy as the rest of us.
Yep.
Unless they're flying.
yeah,
Yeah, they don't want to walk
No.
through that junk.
typically, I mean, turkeys during the breeding season, they want to get out, strut around the fields, and
Show off.
do that sort of
Right.
stuff. So, I mean, if you have a property that's new, first thing I'm looking at is fields, and then backtracking from there. Is there an option for them to roost on the field edge? Typically, if not, if I'm looking at a property and I can see it from the air that there's an old pasture or just a little opening in the field, I'll definitely pin that to go check it out. Those are dynamite spots.
Right.
I mean, the turkey plot that I refer to a lot, that's just a tiny little opening on 120 acres of brush, and just that little opening, those turkeys like to strut in there. Over where Allison killed her bird last year, that was just an old pasture that the farmer stages his trees when he cuts wood there and stuff. So it's just grown up real small grass in there, and the turkeys like to strut around there, and it's just kind of a natural travel way for them. That's a spot that I run a camera every year. There's been a couple longbeards on that the past few days. So
Now, when you have an open field like that, right, and say it's an open field, it goes to a steep ridge, it goes up. Now, normally, when the birds are up there, are they going to fly to the woods? Or are they going to pitch straight to the field? Like, they have that wide open field, right? So it's like, okay,
I'm not a turkey. What are you asking me for?
you're the one who killed. Listen, I haven't killed damn one. You're the one who kills them all, so I got to try to soak this as much up as I can. So
Yeah.
it's like, so are they going to be the cautious ones and fly to the field edge and look? As you're calling, right? Are they going to fly to the field edge and look, or are they going to be like, boom, I want to see what this is? They're going to go straight to it.
Yes to all of that.
Oh, nice. Great.
I can think of every option that you just listed there.
So whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
Got it.
For whatever reason, they'll do one day and the next day do something different. I mean, I've seen them over there at the mountain, halfway up the flat they're roosting. Again, it's steep.
Sure.
That's a spot that I can just about write it down that at some point there'll be a turkey within that 75-yard area this year. It sometimes doesn't happen till later in the season when things green up, because there's a huge strip of big oaks there.
Yeah.
So there's not much underbrush
Sure.
where I'm talking about. So it's really open, but it's in the mountain. So it's cover, but it's open. And every year, later in the year, they'll start roosting there and fly down, and they won't even come to the fields. They'll just strut back and forth on that side. But I've also roosted birds there, crawled up there in the dark to try to get up to that level with them, soar
over
down to
top
the
of you.
field, land in the field. So they literally can do everything. But I mean, I've watched them pitch off of that field, down at the game lands where you were hunting last year. I watched them pitch off of that mountain, soar down, and just hook come right in. And I had one land right in my decoys, and it was the second bird I ever shot in that field. So, yeah, they'll do whatever. I mean, it's just that would be why scouting would be important for me. I'll go and sit and watch them do that all the time. And we're back for the fourth time here.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
Or it's not really our error though.
We'll cut this part out anyway. So
leave it in. This is part of it. Yeah.
All right. So
what I was going to ask you.
Turkeys flying off the tree.
Right, but you're saying so the area we're talking about, dude, it's damn steep.
Oh yeah.
Right. So back to packs, right?
Yeah.
Back to your Vesta you're gonna take there. So listen, I mean, there's places of this, like if you're not on your hands and knees, like you will tumble down that side of the hill. So how much do you put in that pack and how much do you just let in the damn truck?
Well, the answer to the first question is way too much. I'm trying to get better at that. This year's going to be a test for me because I'm being told from the guys that I'm hunting in Virginia with that we're getting into some nasty, steep terrain and that I need to be in shape and lightweight.
When's this again?
2 weeks from now.
You're screwed.
I know.
Yeah. You and me both, man.
I'm going to do a push-up or two later.
Just take the dog for a walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyhow, I'm going to try to pack my vest a lot lighter than I normally do. I usually have like 8 to 10 turkey calls for no reason because I don't...
Mouth calls? Box calls? Slate calls?
No, that was exaggerating, I think, a little bit. But normally, a typical hunt, I'll have 2 slate calls, a box call, and then like a locator call or whatever.
Sure.
But I mean,
now what do you use for locate? Do you crow call? Do you?
I have an owl call
call
that I like to use. Yeah. I've heard turkeys gobble at owls, crows, hawks, goose calls. That bird there actually gobbled at the geese that were flying over right before I shot them. So I would assume that a goose call could be a good locator call.
Nice.
But I like to take 2 different slate calls. One here sitting on the table, that's Tipton Creek Crystal.
Sure.
So I'll take something like that, and then I'll run like just a traditional slate call.
Now, do you find slate versus crystal versus aluminum? Yeah. I mean, is there like you said, you don't want to take too much, right? Yeah. But in the same sense, it's like, is there a purpose? You know what I mean? I mean, back and forth. Oh boy, we're gonna get into the vest now.
Oh yeah, Tipton Creek's about to get
gonna get it right.
Live
action broadcast. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
TV10 News. No. Oh no.
We just got Tipton Creek walnut.
I got this one.
Gray slate.
I have this one. This is the exact one I got.
And the zebra wood crystal over aluminum. So the difference in the sound is why I carry 2 of them. So. A little more rasp on that one, and then you just get your slate, get your purrs, and hope that didn't blow out everybody's ears. But anyway, that's why I would carry 2, and I'm absolutely horrendous with a mouth call. Word on the street is Chase is on his way here to bring me some turkey calls and teach me how to use them, hopefully.
And not choke to death?
I asked him if they come with lessons, so
nice.
We'll see if that actually happens. But the box call, I end up using that a lot. Just seems like not a lot of people use them. And I try to, pick people's brains when I run into them on the mountain and stuff.
I like it.
Probably shouldn't give out my secrets.
Dude, I like that box. The one I have from Tipton Creek, I love it. It's to me not knowing what I'm doing, right? It's to me the one that reaches out there. That's the one that just flies, right? And you can pinpoint that way. You can get that 200-yard bird to just answer. I'm like, okay, we're going.
And
That type of deal.
I think that that's probably the least used. Like if you run into 20 turkey hunters this year, the amount that are using a box call is probably the least compared to slates or your mouth calls. So I don't know. I just always seem like I end up using that more.
Sure. I like it. I was here again, not knowing what I'm doing. I saw, hey, it looks like a cool call. To me, the guy that doesn't really do this, not knowing, and I'm like, that looks like a cool call. Pick it up, man. I open it up and playing at the house. I'm like, this is on a new level.
Here's a quick story why I feel like multiple calls is, you don't want to overcall. You don't want to roll into a spot and just use every call you have until you hear one. But the second bird I shot last year was like 10 o'clock. I rolled into a spot, and I hadn't had a turkey on camera at this spot. It was the turkey plot, and I rolled into there thinking, I'm just going to go in here, I'm going to sit, and I'm going to, just chill out here till 12. It was 2 hours I had. So I pull into this, spot, get hiked back to it, and it's really close quarters, and I've got a lot of pictures of turkeys in this plot late in the morning. So I was nervous that I could potentially bump a bird going into this plot. So I thought, I'm going to stop like 100 yards short and just, yelp on the box call a couple times just to see if I get a response. If I do, I think I can probably set up on them, just off the edge of the plot and still call them in. So I pull in and I, get out and I yelp a couple times on my box call and nothing. So I ease up in there and get set up to where I wanted to in the plot, just off the edge of the plot. And so this is 5 minutes from the time that I called. Not even 5 minutes. It might have been 2 minutes. So I pull out my slate call, and my slate call had gotten water on it that morning. So I cleaned it off, sanded it a little bit to get it scuffed up, and I literally did this. And boom, he freaking gobbled right 70 yards away. From the time I yelped till he was flopping was like 2 minutes.
Really?
But that just, whether they were just on a mission and didn't hear my, box call, or a lot of times, they just like the sound of that certain call, and, whenever you figure that out, you keep calling with that one. Don't put it down. But then the next day, they might not gobble at that. They might gobble at the box call. So that's why you got to have everything with you. But
what else? You got pockets on the inside of that vest.
Oh, there's more pockets on there than I've ever could possibly fill. But, you got your shells. I like to carry a rangefinder, not to necessarily range a turkey when it's coming in, obviously, but I like to know if I'm in a field setup and there's a little bush out there. I like to range it just like deer. Just gives you that little reference. Because it can be misleading when you're tucked against a tree real low, and judging distance can be goofy. So I throw that in there.
Binoculars?
Yeah, binoculars. I used to never carry binoculars turkey hunting, but if I don't have my binoculars in the morning, I'll turn around and go back and get them.
Really?
I've found myself using them so much just to.
Now, what power are you in? 8, 10?
I'm using a pair of Vortex Vipers, I believe, or no, maybe not Vipers, whatever they are, Diamondbacks.
Okay.
The 10 powers.
Got it.
The just nice, short, compact. They're not very heavy.
Yeah, I have a little pair of 8x40s that I carry. Okay. Let me tell you. It's just enough to bring in what you're looking at. Oh, yeah. You don't need a pair of 12 power, big, 2.5 pound binoculars hanging on your neck. Just something to reach out there just a little bit. Where do you keep your Twizzlers at?
Oh man, I'm terrible for that. I never pack snacks when I'm hunting, and then I always regret it. And so I'm just hoping that in Virginia that Chase and Tyler or Trey or Tanner, any of these guys that are going with me, will pack some snacks. So if you guys are listening, make sure you pack some snacks for me down there.
Hey, listen, I can carry one tube in my shotgun full of shells, leave the rest in the truck, but I better have Twizzlers in that pack. Because if I don't, I'm going to be hangry. And listen, it's no fun.
Oh, I hear you.
It is no
Yeah.
fun.
Um, I don't really. There's honestly not that much that I like to carry. I like to carry a piece of sandpaper. Um, One thing I started carrying, a lot of people mess this up. You shoot a turkey, and then you go to fill out your tag. You got to have a pen, or you got to put that tag around the turkey. So it seems dumb, but like I thought like I was like the king when I started like wising up enough to take a pen in a zip tie or a bread tie or something. But like I just love whipping them out and saying, "Here, you have one of these, buddy," because I finally wised up and started bringing stuff like that. But
What about shooting stick? You carry a shooting stick?
no, not really. I will if I have like if I'm filming a youth hunter or taking a youth hunter or something like that. But
You shoot from your knee then?
yeah, I typically just shoot off my knee. I mean, I'm shooting a 24-inch barrel on my 20 gauge, so that gun's so light, and I love it for that. But yeah, I'll just shoot from the knee there, and that seems to be the best. But
Now that pouch in the back, will you put decoys? Like try to, like inflatable decoys or something, or do you carry them external?
I'll usually just if I'm taking decoys, we always just throw them in like a mesh bag, like a duck decoy bag or whatever, and just throw them over. Because if we're running decoys, it'll be like the Avian X's that are already blown up, and we try to just keep them blown up already and just run them in. And the bag has like an orange flag hanging out of it for safety. But no, that pouch is for strictly carrying my dead turkeys.
Oh,
But
okay. Blood only.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The
Which
seat,
I don't have that yet.
Yeah,
I don't have
yeah,
that.
we're gonna.
I don't
we're
have
gonna,
that signature series yet. How
No,
about
we're
that?
gonna break your vest in this spring here. But what else do I got on there? I think that's really about it. Let's just give her a little run around. I got a bunch of stuff laying around everywhere that I got to put in one of these. But oh, there,
Oh, the Thermacell.
Thermacell.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Thermacell. You people have saved a lot of time in the woods.
I don't
Those
use it
little-
all the time, but
When you do,
when
you're
you
thinking-
need it, you need it. And when you don't have it, you go home mad.
and
um,
it ate up.
Extra strikers, I usually am good for. I think I keep Tipton Creek in business with strikers because I usually break one every year.
What do you do
So,
with it?
Don't
Chew
ask
on
me.
it?
I'll lean and every time I move, it seems like my strikers are in an area that
These things are stiff, dude.
I
How you
know.
breaking that thing?
well, I don't know.
Leave it up and like.
I figure a way out, but
Well, hey, listen. You keep breaking them. Tipton Creek's gonna stay around. That's kind of the deal, right? Nice. Very nice.
other than that, I did start running hydration bladder in mine a little bit. I don't use it a lot, but it's like one of them deals like
You feel
I
with
just
coffee?
put it in the yeah. I wish some days I wish I did, but no, I'll throw that in there, and it's nice to have, and it's one of them deals where you forget it's there, but whenever you remember it's there, you're like, oh man, I'm glad I did.
A buddy I hunt with, I take a Yeti with like a little just cup Yeti with coffee, and he's like, "You're really bringing that, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Well, what are you gonna do when we see a turkey? I'll put it behind a tree.
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, you gotta have coffee. Like it's a must. Like it's not even it's almost sacrilegious to even think like it's too early not to have something."
If we're in a ground blind, my dad will bring his whole dang thermos. I mean, he has to drink a whole 12 cups of coffee a day, or like he can't function. So, but
That's
yeah,
factory life. Factory
Yeah.
life does that too.
yeah, it must be. But
Yep.
so, yeah, I think that's about it. So, I mean, I got shells in there. You can never have too many of them.
Hey, you only need one now.
I
Come on.
know. I like to only use one, as expensive as they are.
No
but
kidding,
I
right?
mean, you always have to have those backups in there. But the seat,
It's a
it's
must.
not me packing it, but that's like when I get a turkey vest, first thing I do is I grab that seat. But I still haven't found a seat that your butt doesn't
I was gonna
hurt
say.
after sitting for a while.
What are you
so-
trying to say? You have a fragile butt?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
We're not going to get into that. But
But still, I agree, dude. And the packs that we've been picking up, sitting here looking and talking about these packs, literally the grip on the bottom is a must. You gotta, when you're sitting there for how long, you gotta have something.
Oh yeah, it definitely helps. But I end up one thing somebody asked me the other day. This is just me, but maybe someone else can tell me they do the same thing and I won't feel as bad. But if I sit down on a turkey, first thing I do, vest comes off.
Really?
I'll just flip it off and I'll sit there, on my seat still. But I don't know. I just get geeked out when turkey's coming in and I don't want anything to be in the way or anything like that. And so I'm ripping everything off. And whether that helps me or not, I don't know. But I'm always.
It's Mike Miller's signature.
I guess, yeah.
Right?
It makes sense in my head, so.
That's all that matters.
Whatever.
Yeah. If it makes sense, you're the one killing birds.
Yeah, so.
Maybe I should think about this next time I see a bird come in. Maybe I should get rid
Start
of it.
ripping
Maybe I
stuff
should
off.
get rid of this. Everybody looking at you like, what are you doing?
A sling is the other thing. I always have a sling on my gun, but I always end up taking it off, which is probably more insane than the vest thing. But, I'm constantly taking my vest or my sling off. Just because, you got to swing on a bird. I don't want it to get caught on my pants. And the stuff that I'm saying is probably like a 0.0001% that is going to happen. But this is the type of stuff that goes through my head.
Right.
So,
well, speaking of slings.
Somebody tell me that you feel the same way so I don't feel as bad.
About taking a vest off?
Or the sling or just any of this dumb stuff that I do. I'd like for one person to be yeah, I do that too, man.
Good luck. Yeah.
So,
somebody's going to feel bad for you.
Please, somebody let me know.
Speaking of slings, and I've showed Mike this. I've shown all my friends this. This is just a guy that I found on Instagram, Wesley Vaughn, VPC Lanyards. Look at it on Instagram. Check it out. This guy literally has some of the most well done, what would you call it? Not a weave, like whatever you want to call these slings,
Yeah.
braided. They're a braided sling, right?
Yeah.
Puts a really cool band, like a goose band at the bottom, with his phone number and identification and stuff on it. The guy makes some awesome stuff. I've got plenty of these from him, and each one is just banger. I mean, it's completely cool stuff, and make it whatever color you want, because I know color matters a lot, Mike.
Yeah.
I get yelled at all the time. You're mismatching your camo, dude. You can't do that.
No, that is one thing. If you take any advice from me, you have to wear the same kind of camo.
I'm horrible
If you
at
got real tree bottoms and a mossy oak top, you are never going to kill a turkey. 100% of the time.
I sent him
I know
a picture.
my dad's listening to this because he does not own two items that are the same. And it just makes me cringe when we go out and here he comes with this camo, that camo. He's even got a right and a left glove that don't match half the time. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started on that. We're going to have a whole podcast on matching camo.
I sent him a picture from the tree stand, and he goes, I can't talk to you.
No.
And I'm like, oh, you're busy. He goes, no, you're not even, your colors, your colors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Look good, feel good, hunt good.
Oh,
That's
my.
all you guys need to know.
I just don't care what the deer sees. That's all I care, But good stuff.
That's a good place to end this one.
I agree.
All right. Well, make sure everybody checks us out on social media, Instagram, Facebook at Creekside Podcast, and on YouTube at Creekside Wildlife. And I think that's about it.
That's it.
That's all we got.